Hi everybody, today we're talking scams, not just the little ones, which we might face on a day-to-day basis here in Thailand, the old jet ski scams, things being sold on Facebook that don't actually exist. Talking about the big ones, the ones on the border, the ones that have been making all the headlines earlier this year. Now Thailand's really sort of caught in the middle of this maelstrom. Most of the action, indeed pretty much all of the action with these big scam centres, has been happening on the borders. Now the concentration has been a place like Myanmar, the Thai-Myanmar border, and also the Lao border with its casinos. That's been going on for a decade or so, but more so these days we're talking about the Cambodian border. In fact, Cambodia pretty much now becoming the centre, the scam central of the world for these new big scams. Just a quick invitation to subscribe to the channel. Now, over the last year, I've spoken to journalists who have covered this story. I've spoken to a hairdresser. I've spoken to a sex worker who have worked within these scam centres. Now, these scam centres are pretty much closed little cities, mini cities. They've got their own 7-Eleven shops. They're not 7-Eleven, but you get the idea. They've got hairdressers. They've got sex workers. They're providing all the things that people might need to get through their day and, well, give them plenty of time to go and operate the scams. Some of them willingly, most of them not willingly. So there's been plenty of fear, there's been plenty of stress, there's been plenty of long hours, and the people involved in these scam centres are not necessarily all like Chinese. There are some Thais there, some Cambodian, some Burmese, but also people from all sorts of different parts of the world, because the way these scams operate, they try sort of get into your mind and get some sort of relationship going with you. They can spend months nurturing a relationship. And they want to do it in all sorts of languages, in all sorts of accents. Now, at the start of the year, they were talking about maybe 700,000 people involved in these highly secure scam centres. There were plenty of stories about people getting out, people being released, people being repatriated first into Thailand and then back to their various homes. But the numbers are really quite small, maybe only 20 or 30,000 people. What's happened to all these scam centres? And then with a lot of Chinese money involved in some of these scam centres, both the Chinese government and the Thais, who were most heavily affected, decided to do something about it, and they started cutting the power, cutting the internet. Because the reason that these scam cities and scam centres were dotted around the Thai border, they were basically just botting off the Thai infrastructure. And that's how they were operating. Some of them perhaps with assistance from people on this side of the border, although nothing really has ever been made of that, but I suppose we can imagine. So primarily where a lot of the action was earlier this year were places in northwestern Thailand, which were places like Tak and Mae Sot, and across the border Myawaddy and Shwek Koko, and that's where a lot of these centres have been closed down. And it's quite obvious, even with satellite imaging and people who have got into some of these areas, that there's been a lot of closure and things are a lot quieter. Where have they moved to? Well, most of them have moved to Cambodia. So Myanmar doesn't seem to want these scam cities anymore. They've got other problems at the moment. The Lao government have done their bit to try and crack down on some of these casinos, which have been parading as scam centres. And then where do they go? Well, it looks like the Cambodian border and some parts of Cambodia, which we'll get into in just a moment, seem to be able to move and re-establish their businesses there with little interference, little pushback from the Cambodian authorities. So the reason you need to know about this is because at some stage or another, one of these scams will come across your phone, your computer, your tablet, and you may be inclined to engage in conversation with some of these people. They are very smart. Indeed, they're a lot smarter than us, and they know exactly what to do to try and press your buttons. They probably know a lot more about you than you may really already know. And the main scam is what they call the pig butchering scam. What's that? So it's going to start with an initial contact. It's going to be on your social media, maybe a dating app, could be WhatsApp, and it could be very, very innocent, very gentle, maybe even almost accidental. Well, it's not. Then they're going to go through the phase of relationship building, and it's going to perhaps take weeks or months. The person may send you photos. It could look like a very attractive person, a person who may appear attractive to you because they've done their homework. Then days, weeks, months into their discussions with you, they're going to start bringing up an opportunity for investment. Now, it's not just the buffalo back at the village. They're talking about usually getting involved in cryptocurrency or some other investment. But cryptocurrency seems to be the thing that they're focusing on mostly these days. Now, these scam centres and these operations are highly professional. They operate pretty much 24/7. And initially, you're going to be seeing a few profits in your bank account. Wow, it's actually working. This really just gets you more on the hook and gets you tied into their fake investment. And then inevitably it ends with what they call the slaughter. That's when they get the maximum amount of money from you. It may be, oh wow, things are doing well, I'll throw in a big amount, see how much I can get, and you never hear from them again. And that's where people realise that they have been scammed, and in many cases lost a lot of money. Oh, but that's not me. I won't get sucked in. Well, millions of people have, and I'm pretty sure that you will know somebody who has been scammed. Although, of course, many people caught up in that situation may not want to admit that they've made such a huge mistake. But we're talking about billions and billions of US dollars. These scam centres are very well organised. They're using expensive real estate, they've got high security, and they've got very, very high-tech systems to give them the best opportunity of extracting the money from you. So these places in Cambodia are mainly being set up in the old casino town of Sihanoukville. The casino business is not doing quite as well as it was, but those buildings are being well used by a lot of these scam centres moving in and taking advantage of that real estate on a beach. And then there's also towns like Bavet, and then on the Thai border, Poi Phet. These are the new scam centres in Cambodia. Now, the UN Office of Drugs and Crime is estimating that so far some 40 billion US dollars has been extracted from people, making this a highly lucrative exercise. In 2023, that same office estimated that the Cambodian scam centres alone extracted out of the world population some 12.8 US billion dollars. That's about half Cambodia's GDP. So apart from a lot of these scam centres actually moving from one border area to another, it seems that Southeast Asia is still sort of scam central, focusing principally these days in Cambodia. Technologically, where have they been moving? Well, a lot of the movement from the technology point of view has been into the deep fakes, whereby they can put photos in front of you that look very real. They could be pretending to be somebody that you actually know, or they could just be using it to make videos of a person that you have become familiar with, maybe even fallen in love with, saying all sorts of things to you to entice you to open up your pockets. I mean, we really need to be so careful of anything we're seeing on the internet that's trying to get into our pockets. From a United States Department of Justice probe, and this just happened in recent days, 5 individuals, Americans and Chinese primarily, admitted laundering some nearly 37 million US dollars stolen via scam centres in Cambodia, mostly from the Sihanoukville operation. And they used shell companies, Deltec Bank in the Bahamas, and they converted funds into USDT to funnel money back into scam compounds. Then there are companies like Huawei One that provide things like apps and software and the infrastructure for a lot of these scams to happen. They're now being closed down, and their opportunity to pay through Cambodian banks is being broken. So the UN Office of Drugs and Crime is now describing Cambodia as the global epicenter for industrial-scale cybercrime. It's become that concentrated in that one country. So we really have to wait to see what pressure is going to be put on Cambodia to try and do something about it. The Thai government, they've certainly done their bit to control and cut off resources for a lot of these scam centres, such that it forced them to move. But it seems that a lot of the movement has been into the Kingdom of Cambodia. That's the latest we know about these scam centres. Hopefully you know a little bit more about it today than you did 5 or 10 minutes ago. Please subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you next time.